during this module, I would like to follow up on what happens after an event is created. So there are a couple of actions that happen every time an event is submitted. First, the person submitting the event is greeted with the confirmation page that we saw at the end of the last module. But as far as people working at United Methodist Communications who vet these submitted material, how do they even know that it's created? Well, there are a couple of different ways. Chief among them, if we navigate to the content editor, I'm just going to show you inside this content folder, inside the UMC directory, which houses all the content for umc.org. We're going to go down to the shared content folder and expand messages. Here, these are all the various email messages that are launched when a form is submitted, a piece of content is approved that's related to the user submitted content, and if it's deleted. So additionally, because the submission of an event results in a confirmation page, it's not necessary to send an email to the user confirming that their event has been submitted. They've already received that verification through the email or through the website. So instead, we need to notify United Methodist Communication employee. Right now, this email is called the Created Events Report Message, and it sends once a day with all of the created events. At the specified time, it will not list the specific events, but instead it will let you know that there are events that need to be reviewed. Please review the Created Events Report in the attachments. So the report that it's referencing, we're going to go to the Sitecore Launchpad, which, depending on your credentials, you'll either be logged in here or you'll be logged in at the desktop. To run these reports, we want to navigate to the desktop. So if you log in and that's where you're navigated to, that's fine. We're going to start by clicking the Sitecore Start button. And here we have reporting tools right at the very bottom above all applications. If we click reporting tools, you'll see PowerShell reports. That's the only part of this path that's a little bit counterintuitive. So just remember, reporting tools, PowerShell, it's the only one that has sub-items. And from PowerShell, we'll go to UMC and Events for Review. Now, if you haven't run the Events for Review report in a while, you're going to want to set the created start date to the date the last time you ran the report. So just as an example, if the last time you ran the report was the 1st, then I would recommend running it on the 1st from a fairly early time, just to ensure that all those items have been reviewed. But by default, it will populate a 24-hour period. So today we have yesterday's date, 2:25 p.m. to today's date at 2:25 p.m. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that as is, because the event we created was about 20 minutes ago now. Click Proceed. This script is going to run, and it's going to compile all of the events awaiting approval into a list. Here we have the training event-SLF that I created just a short time ago. You want to double click on this link until you see that it's waiting down in the indicator, until you see that it's waiting to load the page. So a couple of things happen. When the report is run, you'll see down here in the bottom, this is part of the reason we like to use the desktop through Sitecore, is it gives you this handy tab navigation. So you can either view the events awaiting approval window, or you can view the content editor. You notice when you click on the specific event that needs approval, it automatically opens the content item that represents that submitted event. Here we have the training event SLF. Anytime you see this yellow ribbon, you want to pay attention. In this, it says if you publish now, the selected version will not be visible to the web because it is not in the final workflow step. Now, essentially that means that when events are submitted, they are not automatically published. Instead, they require review. So we want to go to the top tabs, navigate to review, and we want to look over all of the various fields that were submitted on this for this event. And if everything looks acceptable and no additional data is required or beneficial to the post, then what we want to do is we want to go to review and submit. Upon submitting, a script is going to run. You'll see a little progress bar pop up here in just a second that will take this piece of content out of the review phase or the workflow step and make it available to publish. Sometimes this takes 10 to 15 seconds. When the screen goes gray, that means it's about to come up. Done. Now, if you happen to see any red error indicators here, you want to pass that information along to Web Ministries, whether that's Lane Denson or someone else who's representative of the Web Ministries team, so that they can look into any issues. But this is where those errors would appear. This is not, that's just additional information. So we're going to close this progress bar, and it's going to finish running the script, and now we're ready to publish. As long as you've vetted the material already and you know that it's ready to go, then you're going to click publish, and just like a piece of content, you're going to click publish item. Now, it's not necessary to publish sub-items because this is at the lowest point in the site. It's an individual piece of content, not reliant on any other items, but I just leave that checked because it doesn't harm anything. You also don't need publish related items. If you're creating various language versions, this is where you would do that. I apologize. You would not create them here, but you would publish them if you were to create them. So here we're going to publish. Do you want to proceed? Okay. Once this item is published, we're going to navigate back to the UMC calendar page and see what's there. So, before we get too deep into this, sorry, I had to reload the page. Before we get too deep into this, I did want to cover, there's an additional action that happens when a submitted event is approved. I entered my email address in the form, so when it's approved, meaning taken out of the workflow step, we receive this confirmation message, which includes all of the data we submitted, and it essentially says your event has been approved. So here we have the event live on the site, and that's it as far as placing it on the site.